a recent study shows that mom might have actually been wrong, and playing video games isn't actually as harmful for your intelligence as one might think. As the researchers note, this is not the first study to suggest that there could be a link between the time that kids spend gaming and the development of their cognitive abilities, and there seem to be other associated benefits from video games too. The team behind the current research says that small sample sizes, the different designs of studies, and the lack of consideration for genetic and socioeconomic influences have all led to the conflicting reports of the studies of screen time that we've seen to date. Of course, that's not to say that games should ever become a replacement for the real thing, but if they could be used to augment our reality and make our experiences better, then why shouldn't they be? Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Hard Light Network. So guys, if growing up your experience was anything like mine, your parents often warned you that playing too many video games would rot your brain. Kind of like how sitting too close to the TV would strain your eyes, and how turning the overhead light on in the car at night was illegal. And I've always wondered, was there any truth to that? Not the TV or the lights thing, but the thing about playing too many video games. Well, a recent study shows that mom might have actually been wrong, and playing video games isn't actually as harmful for your intelligence as one might think. On the contrary, it might actually turn out that it's better for you than you might have been led to believe. But of course, before we get into it, guys, you know I've got to ask you to hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you in the future, and also take to the comment section down below and tell me the excuses your mom told you to keep you from playing too many video games. Your help goes a long way in supporting this channel and bringing the latest in gaming news to other gamers much like yourself. But without any further ado, let's get into today's article. So today's reading comes to us from Science Alert and is entitled "Playing Video Games Has an Unexpected Effect on Kids' IQ," says study, and the article begins as follows. Researchers have linked spending more time playing video games with a boost in intelligence in children, which goes some way to contradicting the narrative that gaming is bad for young minds. While the difference in cognitive abilities was small and not enough to show a causal relationship, it is enough to be notable, and the 2022 study was careful to factor in variables including differences in genetics and the child's socioeconomic background. Meanwhile, watching TV and using social media didn't seem to have a positive or negative effect on intelligence. The research should prove useful in the debate over how much screen time is suitable for young minds. Digital media defines modern childhood, but its cognitive effects are unclear and hotly debated. The team from the Netherlands, Germany, and Sweden writes in their published paper, "We believe that studies with genetic data could clarify causal claims and correct for the typically unaccounted role of genetic predispositions." The researchers looked at screen time records for 9,855 kids in the ABCD study, all in the US and aged 9 or 10. On average, the youngsters reported spending 2.5 hours a day watching TV or online videos, 1 hour playing video games, and half an hour socializing over the internet. They then accessed data for more than 5,000 of those children 2 years later. Over the intervening period, those in the study who reported spending more time than the norm on video games saw an increase of 2.5 IQ points above the average rise. The IQ point increase was based on the kids' performance on tasks that included reading comprehension, visual spatial processing, and tasks focused on memory, flexible thinking, and self-control. It's important to note that while the study only looked at children in the US and did not differentiate between video game types, mobile versus console games, it's still a valuable insight into gaming and IQ and backs up the idea that intelligence isn't a fixed constant that we're born with. Our results support the claim that screen time generally doesn't impair children's cognitive abilities and that playing video games can actually help boost intelligence, neuroscientist Torkel Klinberg from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden said in 2022 when the study was published. As the researchers note, this is not the first study to suggest that there could be a link between the time that kids spend gaming and the development of their cognitive abilities, and there seem to be other associated benefits from video games too. The team behind the current research says that small sample sizes, the different designs of studies, and the lack of consideration for genetic and socioeconomic influences have all led to the conflicting reports of the studies of screen time that we've seen to date. Those are limitations that this study aimed to minimize. All of this is to say that there are a lot of factors at play, both in terms of how intelligence might be developed informed in different ways in which the screen time might affect our bodies and our habits. So much more research is needed. We didn't examine the effects of screen behavior on physical activity, sleep, well-being, or school performance, so we can't say anything about that, said Klinberg. We'll now be studying the effects of other environmental factors and how the cognitive effects relate to childhood brain development. The research has been published in scientific reports. So there you have it, guys. As soon as this video is published, I know that I'm sending it to my mom and letting her know that all that time spent on homework could have been spent playing video games. All jokes aside, I do think it's interesting that there seems to be an actual connection between playing video games and IQ. Even more than that, I'm genuinely shocked to see that it's possibly a positive correlation and that it doesn't actually do any harm. I wasn't joking at the beginning of the video when I said that there was generally considered a negative correlation between gaming and your mental well-being when I was growing up. And of course, while I generally don't think it's a good idea to be skipping school or sleep in order to game, I think it's pretty amazing that it's not as bad as everyone initially believed. To that end, I believe it was mostly just an assumption that people reasoned to rather than the result of any in-depth study, like the article says. Maybe there were some inbuilt biases considering how new gaming is as a medium overall, but suffice to say, I do believe that this is a positive development overall, and I think it would be nice to leverage this study in terms of implementing games in education as well as maybe arguments towards preservation. I do believe that if it can be said that gaming is good for your overall mental well-being, then we could argue that it's a public good in and of itself. Maybe one day the term gamer will carry with it the same connotations that bookworm does, right? And not for nothing, but an increase of 2.5 IQ points is nothing to scoff at. Sure, maybe gaming won't turn you into a super genius overnight, but if it can increase your reading comprehension, spatial awareness, memory, problem-solving skills, and self-control, maybe there's something to be looked at. I don't know about you, but I certainly feel like all of us can benefit from a little boost to those faculties. And just because the article says that there needs to be more research done before drawing any final conclusions, I don't feel like we should ignore the results just until we get more research. And sure, maybe I'm a little biased, but I think the more reasons we have to play video games, the better. I remember these little anecdotal stories that I would read growing up about how one time there was this kid whose grandma passed out behind the wheel of a moving vehicle, and he knew enough about driving from playing video games to safely guide the car to the ditch without crashing it. There was another time I read a story about a kid who was playing in the woods with his little sister when they were attacked by a moose, and he learned how to taunt it from playing World of Warcraft. And not for nothing, but maybe video games could help people in other more unconventional ways, maybe teaching them coping mechanisms or social skills. Of course, that's not to say that games should ever become a replacement for the real thing, but if they could be used to augment our reality and make our experiences better, then why shouldn't they be? Either way, I for one am incredibly excited to see any further developments that could be had for these studies. But that's probably going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who checked it out and watched all the way up to this point. If you liked the video, please leave a like, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future. And also, do me a solid and hit that comment section down below with your takes on this article. Do you believe that video games could have a positive effect on your IQ, or do you think that we should wait for more research before jumping to any conclusions? Maybe you're even one of these people that believes gaming is a net negative for people's IQ. Regardless, let me know what you think down below because I want to have a discussion. Anyway, there's a lot more work to be done, so until next time, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and until next time, love you guys, safe travels.